In this video, I made over 20 automatic farms in my Minecraft hardcore world. These range from some of the more simpler farms to some of the most complex farms. If you haven't watched my last video, I highly recommend going back and catching up. Before I move on any further, I'd like to say thank you to everyone that has viewed and liked my past videos, as well as subscribed. I've reached 10,000 subscribers in just 3 weeks, which is absolutely insane. You guys have been crushing all my goals and have flooded me with the kindest comments, and I cannot explain how much appreciation I have for every single one of you. With that being said, 98% of you are not actually subscribed, so if you would like to keep up with my content, feel free to subscribe, as well as jump into the Discord. We've got over 100 members now, with plenty of channels and VCs to join and talk to myself, or plenty other members in the Discord. I've also released my own Crave shop store, which I am selling my merchandise. I have OG limited time merch, and I've included the link in the description for that. I wanted to focus this video mostly on the automatic farm, so I had to do a couple things off camera. The first thing I did was spend a couple hours in the Nether looking for ancient debris so I could upgrade all my tools and armor to netherite. After that, I decided that the villager hall was pretty small for what we had currently, and I decided to upgrade it to something a lot bigger. It ended up being bigger than I meant for it to be, but we'll fit a few projects in there in the future. Before I could build any farms, I needed the room to do it. I explored for a while and eventually found an open plains biome, so I got to work. Once the platform was complete, I started deciding which farms I needed to build first. I needed gunpowder pretty bad for fireworks, and I knew that most of the farms required bone meal, so I decided to start with a standard mob farm. Now that I had the gunpowder, I just needed the paper, so and I also made a stone generator. Now, next up was the iron farm, but I needed at least 12 villagers for that, so that meant I have to move some villagers from my village, and that was not easy. And now it was time to stop running out of iron every time I needed it. So I started on the iron farm. I will make this thing a lot bigger in the future when I need more beacons, but for now I only made it one layer. Next up on the list was redstone, and I also needed some bottles for my honey farm coming up. So I decided to start looking for a witch hut so I could make a witch farm. This ended up taking me forever to find and was actually about 2,000 blocks away from Farmville itself. While I was in Swamp Biome, I figured I might as well throw the slime farm down there as well. And for anyone wondering, yes, I colored the slime purple. I also got a lot of comments on my last video about my texture packs, mods, shaders, and seeds, so I've included all of that game info down in the description. If you have any further questions, feel free to join the Discord to ask me yourself. The next couple farms were some smaller ones that I wanted to knock off the list because they wouldn't take much effort. I started with a pig pen since there isn't really a pig farm in Minecraft, I don't think. Then I proceeded to make a chicken cooker as well as a cow suffocation thing. Yeah, this thing looks kind of scary. I wanted to keep the block palette pretty close to how it looked at the home village, so I stuck with spruce and stone brick for each Farmville design. Now it was time to put those bottles to use and make a bee farm. I was dreading this part because I wanted to make 2 bee farms, which meant I needed 16 beehives total. I ended up spending a couple hours breeding them and got to work on the farms themselves. For the next couple farms, I wanted to have an easy access to each colored dye. There are 16 total dyes in the game, and I was able to get 10 of them from just 2 different flower farms. The first one used pistons to move grass back and forth to break flowers, and the other one simply bone mealed tall flower plants into hoppers. For the last couple dyes, I needed to make a cocoa bean farm for brown, cactus farm for green, and a squid farm for black. So first I had to find a jungle. squid farm proved to be a bigger farm than I expected. Digging out the squid farm was going to take a while, so I had to go to the Nether to get wither skulls. Kill a wither. And get a beacon. After I made the farm itself, I was having pretty low spawn rates, so I had to drain the entire river around it so that squids would only spawn in the farm. After a quick trip to get some more totems, I added sheep to the pig pen to start breeding them so that I could make a wool farm. I needed 16 sheep total so that I would have access to each wool color in the game. Every time I needed lava, I had to keep going to find lava pools or go to the Nether, so I decided to make a lava farm so that I'd never run out. Once the lava farm was complete, I moved on to the wood farm. Now, not only does this thing do spruce wood, but it does every wood in the game, as well as mushrooms. The next couple farms were going to require some stacks of glass, so I figured I'd bring back the super smelter design from the previous series and throw it in Farmville. This thing obviously isn't the most insane smelter in the game, but it'll still smelt stacks of items in just seconds, which is good enough for me. Following the theme of colorful blocks and dyes, I wanted a way to get each concrete color as well, so I got the materials to make a sand duper that would also work for powdered concrete. This farm was the main reason I needed the honey farm, as it used a bunch of honey blocks. Taking that trip back to my original raid farm made me realize how pathetic it actually was, and I needed a faster way to get totems and emeralds. So I went to the nearest ocean and started on a new raid farm design that would give me a chest of totems in just a couple minutes. At this point, I had pretty much made all the overworld farms that I wanted to make, and I purposely saved the nether farms for last because I just knew they were going to suck. I wanted to be rich in gold so I could use it as a block and have plenty of golden apples and golden carrots, so I started on a giant gold farm. With my super smelter constructed, I realized I didn't even have any coal or fuel to run it. So I decided to use blaze rods, meaning I had to make a farm for them as well. The last nether farm I wanted to make was one that I had never made before, which was a wither skeleton farm, so that I could get as many beacons as I wanted to. This farm took me ages to put together, and for some reason the wither skeletons just did not want to spawn on the platform, but eventually after some troubleshooting I was able to make it work. I've already got some pretty big plans for the future videos, and one of them requires sea lanterns. And when I was making the Wither Skull farm, I noticed an ocean monument right next to the portal. So I mean, why not get it out of the way now? And that concludes the over 25 farms that I've made in my hardcore Minecraft world. The last thing I wanted to do was give the place a makeover because it looked pretty boring, but I'm going to leave that part to the time lapse. Thank you to everyone who has watched this far and has watched the video in general and supported me. It means the world to me, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next one.